Hi, I'm Beth and welcome back to my basement yoga room for today's practice. This will be a gentle, a little bit active practice, and the theme for today is going to be the theme of being fluid. We're not going to hold poses as much as move around and find some fluidity in the postures. So the inspiration for this practice was from a quote by a master from the Philippines. His name is Master Choa Kok Sui. Sorry if I got that wrong. And what he said is, be fluid, be like water, flow around obstacles. So there's this idea that water is not baffled by obstacles, it finds its way around. Water might be fluid, but it's extremely strong. So you might want to keep that idea with you during the practice today. We are going to start lying face down, and you don't need any props for today's practice. If you have a mat, great. If not, you have the floor, a towel, a blanket underneath you, as long as you won't slip when we go to the standing parts. So come face down, and if you're wearing glasses like I am, you might want to take them off, at least for these few opening moves. We're coming all the way down to the belly, and we're going to find a comfortable position. In fact, I'll take my glasses off for a moment. One option is to form a diamond with the thumb so that you can place your head right in that little space. Another option is arms down by your side, head resting in one direction. Or you might have your arms crossed, head propped on your arms. So whatever position you choose, and I'm going to prop up a little bit just so I can keep talking to you. Lie your body face down and start to grow heavy in your body. So feel the ground underneath you. This part we're not focusing on the idea of water or fluidity, just allowing a heaviness to settle into our limbs, being supported by the ground. Drawing a few conscious breaths in, maybe feeling the breath expanding into your torso, your heart, the front parts of your body settling against the floor. A few more breaths like this. A simple chance to rest a little bit, to pause at the start of our practice. And then staying in the face down position, we're going to prop up onto the elbows into a Sphinx pose. So in this Sphinx pose, your elbows can be under the shoulders. I encourage you to have them a little in front of the shoulders. Allow this to be maybe a little bit more of a restful or comfortable Sphinx. So you are pushing down into your forearms to lift your chest and feeling as if you're drawing your chest forward a bit between your arms. From our Sphinx pose, we're going to slide the hands in, flow up into a back arch or cat pose, and then flow back to a child's pose. You can widen your knees if that feels right for you. You don't have to come all the way down. Your hips don't have to come all the way back. Your child's pose might be up here, whatever feels right. And then breathe, exhale back up into your cat arch. And on your next breath, flow all the way back forward into Sphinx. So it doesn't matter as much what it looks like. That's the little flow that we're going to do. Breathe with your flow. Be fluid. Breathe however feels naturally. So slide your hands in as you come up to your cat pose. Continue going back into child's. You might slide along the ground as you flow forward into Sphinx. Maybe your elbows need to be a little further forward if your back isn't quite warmed up yet, like mine. And then one or two more times, sliding back in and up to cat. Back into some version of child's pose. Forward into Sphinx. And I'll do one more with you. Breathing in, flowing, And you see I'm kind of dragging my hands in with me. And then flowing back forward. Hold the Sphinx for another moment or two as you drop your chin towards your chest. Roll your neck around, loosening up in there a little bit more. You might look up a little bit and also take your ear to one shoulder and then the other with your chin up a little bit. And then slide your hands in and we'll rise up to an all fours position. So all fours, your hands are right under your shoulders, your knees are right under your hips. So set yourself up to be comfortable, spread your fingers wide. This doesn't have to be an exact table shape. If your hands are a little in front or a little wider, however that feels comfortable with you is fine. We're going to take one hand and we're going to place the fingertips behind the ear. So I'm going to take my hand that's closest to you. And as I breathe in, I'm going to open up, twisting a little bit open toward the screen. As I exhale, I'm going to tuck my elbow a little bit toward the opposite arm. And then I'm going to continue. So this is kind of a version of thread the needle. We're not going really deep into that thread under the body. Waking up the spine with a bit of twisting. We already did a bit of forward bending and back bending in our Sphinx cat combo. And one more time. And then place the hand back down. Switch arms. I'll turn around the other way so I can still be facing you. This movement can be as small or big as you like. So hand behind the ear, moving with breath, breathing in and open. Exhaling, tucking under toward the opposite arm. The goal is to get a little bit of a spinal movement, a spinal rotation, but to feel really fluid. To make this smoother as we go through each one. And then maybe one more. Nice. Place your hands back down. Walk your hands in toward your knees and come up to a standing knees position. So from standing knees, we're going to do a version of a gate pose flow. I'm going to mirror you for this part. So take your right leg out to the side, toes pointed toward me if that feels good. If not, toes can be more pointed out. And you can adjust your leg. Mine is maybe an inch or two in front of my hip bone. You can have it even further, so more toward the front of your mat if that's just not feeling right to your pelvis or hips feel more twisted. So the position of the leg, what we're looking for is a comfortable, steady position, which is basically what we're looking for in all of the asanas or physical postures. Find a solid base, and then breathe in, raise your left arm up, so opposite arm to leg extended. Exhale, flow a little bit over your leg, but we're not going to stay. Instead, we'll breathe the right arm up and then flow in the other direction. And so this is the idea. One arm up, flowing the other way, and moving with the breath however feels right to you. Now you could do it more like this, keeping the arms wider apart from each other. So again, it doesn't have to look like anything in particular. We're thinking more about what this feels like in the body, feeling a flow, feeling some lateral stretching. And if for you, when you go down to the opposite side, your fingers touch, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine. Let's do one more either direction, reaching down toward the floor, and then reaching toward your leg. You want to hold for maybe a little breath here, and then exhale. Come back through the center. If you need to wiggle a little bit in the middle, go ahead and do that. And we'll extend the opposite leg out to the side. So same thing, if toes feel comfortable pointing toward the camera or toward me, you can do that. If you want to have them out on a little bit more of a diagonal, find a spot that helps your leg feel stable for this movement. Here, our knee of the grounding leg, your right leg, and your extended left leg. Well, that's our stability in this pose as we start to move with the arms. Inhale, right arm up and overhead. Slide down your extended leg. And then on your next breath, you can raise the left arm up, start to reach down the other direction, and continue at your pace. As much as is comfortable for you, trying to coordinate this with the breath. So flowing at a pace that takes your breath into consideration. And if you like, you could widen the arms. Maybe as you continue, you have a little bit more room to slide down the leg or toward the floor. If you do, that's fine. If you don't, that's not necessarily a goal that we're going for today. We're not trying to go deeper, we're trying to go more fluid. All right, so maybe one more each side, one more reaching toward the floor, one more reaching down the leg, perhaps a brief breath hold here, and then breathe, rise back up, draw the leg in. So we'll come to standing, and as you come to standing, you can come up, just stand up is what you can do. If you want, you can do that a little bit more mindfully. Maybe step one foot forward, find your stability in sort of this little mini lunge, tuck the back toes, and come to stand. And you can try that the other direction as well. This was my right leg, but I stepped forward with my dominant leg, of course. So I step forward with my left leg. It always feels a little more shaky. And tuck the back toes and stand up. Find your mountain pose. So we find our stability just like we did on our knees when we stand up. This is our solid Tadasana mountain pose, our strong position. And then for mountain, we're going to do a very similar lateral flow that we just did on our knees. So left arm up, reach up, slide down the opposite side. Other arm up as I breathe in, and then I'll slide down in the other direction. So you can continue to raise both arms up in the middle if that feels right to you. I'll do a few rounds like that. Reaching tall as you get to the middle, flowing down. Or you can take less of a pause there and flow back and forth. And you can reach down, or maybe it feels good to do sort of a little S-curve shape with the arms. We're looking for a flow and a lateral or side bending movement of the spine. So if you're flowing and side bending, you're doing this absolutely right. This morning here, this is a nice morning practice because we're moving the spine in all four directions, forward, back, lateral side bending, and then twisting. So I'm going to do one more to the other side. Float my arms down. For this next position, a little bit of a standing twist, I like to have my feet a little wider than hip width, like you're more of a strong, stable mountain base. You can keep yours closer together if that feels right to you. That's just where I like this position. I'll take the hands a little bit out from the body for this and soften my knees. And then I like to shake a little bit to make sure my knees aren't locked. And we'll do a twist here. So twist to your right, and then to your left. And I'm keeping my fingers a little away from the body as if my fingertips were skimming over the top of water. So you can think of yourself of standing in a pool or a beautiful lake and allowing your fingers to skim across the water. And then perhaps you make that move a little bigger. Perhaps when you twist to your right, you lift the opposite left heel. Same thing when you go to the other side. Perhaps it feels better for you to keep your hip points facing forward and just move the torso, the upper body. So you can decide how big of a twist you need, whether this morning as it is for me, or whether it's some other time of day for you. Perhaps you take this into a little bit more of a Tai Chi movement where you gently knock against the back and the shoulder. That contact of hand on body can sometimes assist us with energy movement and release. So you can try that and see how it feels for you. Or you can keep the fingers skimming over the top of water for a few more rounds. If as you're warming up more it feels good to go a little faster, that's fine too. But know that the goal is not to go fast. The goal is to be fluid in whatever pace you choose. Let's do one or two more each side. And then float back to the center. All right, one more standing position. So I like to do a little balance in virtually every class if I can. So we're going to do a standing knee lift, and then we're going to add a cat-cow movement. So similar to that movement we did with Sphinx and cat on the floor. So start with finding your base in your left foot, finding a strong base, because now it's going to be a one-footed single leg base. Start to lift the opposite knee, the right knee. So just knee up and down a few times. And then to add the cat-cow movement, I'm going to place my fingertips on my shoulders. You can place your hands behind your ears again. You can keep your hands by your hips if you'd like. This just helped me show the movement of my back. So as my knee comes up, I'm going to draw my elbows toward it as I arch my back into that cat shape. And then as I inhale, I'm going to place my foot down, draw my chest up, draw my shoulder blades together, coming up into what would be kind of a cow position, a little bit of a back bend. But now I'm going to do that a little bit more fluidly. So again, I'm going to make sure I'm nice and stable on my opposite foot. And a few times I'll flow through this. So we're not finding a single balance point. We're trying to balance our bodies, and you'll see I lost it a little bit there. That's okay. And yet I'll try to be mindful of keeping my balance through every phase of this so I can softly land my foot, knowing I don't need to stop at any point, but I can continue that fluidity like water. A few more times on this side. Balance practice is good because it makes us feel unbalanced, and feeling unbalanced is good. It's a good challenge to learn how to deal with feeling unbalanced. One more. All right, I'll lower the hands, re-stabilize in your mountain. At any time in your mountain pose, your feet can be farther apart if that feels more stable and comfortable for you. So now place your weight into your opposite foot. If you're mirroring me, it's your right foot that's going to be your strong, stable foot. You can glance down and widen the toes a little bit on your foot. Make sure you've got that strong, stable position. And you see I lean a little bit, but I'm trying to stay upright as I lift the heel of the left. And we'll start with a few of those knee lifts, just to get the sense of the movement first. So feeling how that feels in your body compared to adding the upper body, the cat-cow movement. Just moving the knee feels pretty easy. But now I'll challenge myself a little bit more by adding the upper body movement. Fingertips to my shoulders. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. And then as I lift the knee, exhale, inhale, come up. So exhale, inhale, chest up. And continue to flow at your pace on this side. If you're looking at me, you might notice that I'm a little bit more shaky. My left foot tends to be, this is my left leg on the bottom, my left foot tends to be a little bit less stable than my right, which is my dominant side. Again, that doesn't mean there's something wrong. If I wanted to focus on the balance aspect, I might stay longer on this side. But in the end, it's all good. It's all part of our mysterious, wonderful bodies. We can work on that sense of flow. Do a few more. Let's do one more. And then release. And before we go back down to the floor, if you want to do any of that movement, a little twist, the side to side, you've moved your spine in all 4 directions. So when we take it forward, that's the forward bending. When we arch back, that's the back bending, lateral, and then twist. And that's a complete practice there. If you move your spine in 4 directions, you're likely to feel more alert, more fluid in your body, because your spine now has more mobility. So we are going to head back down to the floor. And this time we'll be lying on our backs. Come to a comfortable position lying on your back with your feet flat on the floor, your knees up, and your feet a little bit wider than your hips, maybe as wide as the edges of the mat if you're using a mat. If not, just judge how comfortable it feels for you. And the distance of your feet from your bottom, from your body, that's completely up to you. So I'm going to scooch my feet out a little bit wider. And your arms can be wherever they naturally fall, wherever is naturally comfortable. I'm going to take both knees toward the direction of the screen. I'm moving with breath. I'm going to lift through center and then take them away from the screen. So we usually refer to this move as a windshield wiper move. You can probably see why. After a lot of rain the past few days, it's actually a beautiful sunny day here. We don't need the windshield wipers. Not that I was going anywhere. Yet this is a really nice flowing move to do in the body. It can help the hips feel fluid. So if your hips are feeling stuck or sticky or achy from a lot of sitting, lying down on the floor, you can do the seated as well. And swishing, moving your hip joints in this way could feel really nice. You notice I'm not rushing in this practice. I'm not counting out, all right, we have to do 5 more reps. Kind of taking my time to be fluid. Another quote I read about water is that water is patient. If you think about how it wears away, wears through things, it takes years and years, generations for that to happen. All right, maybe just a few more here. And then settle back through to center. You might have to do a clothing adjustment like me. I'm going to draw the knees in toward the chest. So both knees into the chest. Now when you draw your knees in, they can be closer together or wider apart, just like in your standing mountain pose. So you can always adjust to find what works best for your body. And then you can hold anywhere on the legs. Maybe it's your thighs, maybe it's on top of the knees, or you can not hold. You can keep your arms by your side. Holding just has your hands help support your legs. It's not necessary. It can feel more comfortable. It's up to you. So as we move through a flow with the knees, the legs, and the upper arms, same thing. You can put your hand on your leg to hold or not. So keep one leg in. I'm going to have the knee closer to the screen that I'm going to keep in. And then as you take a breath in, you'll extend the opposite leg and reach the arms overhead. And then as you exhale, you'll sweep the arms down, both knees back in, and you can hold your shins, your thighs, your knees if you'd like. Inhale, sweep the leg down again, reach long. And then we'll continue that flow. So every breath in or every exhale, however it makes sense to move with the breath, knees and arms come together. And then one arm reaches out long as the arms reach out long. Flow back through center and opposite. Continue at your own pace. You have the option of coming into a little ball as you come to center. Again, totally not necessary. If something about that feels better for your body, yeah, that's what we want. I'm going to do one more on each side. So this time I'll come in, maybe being a little more tight. Stretch out long. Inhale, knees in, arms down or in. Stretch out long. And last one, both knees in. And then let's stretch out for a nice big breath. Both legs out, arms out overhead. And draw the knees in. And before we rest, we'll finish here with just a little bit of a pelvic rock. So again, you can either hold your knees, your legs, or have your hands by your side. I like to hold on the top of my knees for this one because I can feel more of the legs move with the breath. So as I exhale, I draw the knees, the legs a little bit more toward me. And then as I inhale, I expand the knees away from me. You can see my arms straighten as my torso fills with breath. Exhale, inhale. So this can be thought of as a kind of a wave breath or a pelvic rocking motion. So when I draw the knees in and exhale, my pelvis tucks a little bit, my tailbone tucks, and then my lower back moves a little from the floor in the opposite direction. Just a few more times like this. Maybe looking for any last movement that your body, your spine needs. And then we'll take a brief rest to finish the practice. So you can place your feet on the floor, maybe feet rest flat on the floor, maybe knees rest toward each other. Maybe you want that little bit of stretch more on the inner thighs and your feet come together in a butterfly. Or perhaps your legs stretch out long and more of a full Shavasana relaxation pose. Any of those options is fine. So settle in. I'm going to roll up to seated. And as you settle into the rest you've chosen, now feel heavy with your back body being supported by the ground. So we started off that sense of heaviness with the front body face down being supported. Now see if you can sense the same support of the ground for the back body. So this will be a short rest for this practice. Take about 3 to 5 breaths in this rest. If you want a longer rest, I invite you to do one of my other practices, maybe adding on one of my restorative practices after this one, which will do a little bit of breath work, and then you'll rest in a pose. If you're ready to end this practice for today, roll to one side. And pause for a moment or two on your side. As we create fluidity, it's always good to look for pauses as well. And then help yourself up to seated. So as we conclude, if you'd like to hold a mudra, a hand gesture, there's a mudra called the gesture of water. Basically, our little finger, our pinky finger, that represents the water element. So you simply touch your thumb to your pinky. You can rest your hands down if that feels good. See if this gesture, this mudra, helps you with a sense of feeling fluid in your body. Can you connect with that sense of being able to be like water? Our bodies are mostly water. And as you hold the mudra, or if you prefer, rest your hands on your lap, I'll read that quote one more time. So the quote was, "Be fluid, be like water, flow around obstacles." Let's take one last flowing breath in together, reaching the arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, drawing the hands together, bringing them down through to center. So I hope in this short practice, you're able to find some sense of comfortable fluidity, some sense of being able to flow, and some connection with the idea that you can flow around the obstacles of which life always throws us many. Thank you for joining me. Please take care.